The following podcast is rated G for gammon. Please be aware it may contain some coarse language and is not suitable for children or gammon audiences. Say true God.
Seriously? Say true God.
God. Always say true God.
Seriously? Say true God.
God. We're back. Say true God. Them yarns.
Say true God.
God. Always say true God. Hi everyone. Welcome to Them Yarns with CJ, aka Carly, and Aaron. We are back after a week off. I wonder if anyone noticed.
A week off. It's been good. I mean, how was your week, Carly Amanda?
People are so invested now in you guessing my middle name.
Oh, come on, man.
And complete strangers, like people that I've also had people message me and guess, and I say, yes, that's it. And they can't get over the fact that you've known me for 20 years and you don't know my middle name. You get.
When were we ever going to talk about middle names? That's
You started it.
It's a podcast. When I get it right, we're going to have to do a whole podcast on people's middle names.
Okay. When you get it right, that'll be another 20 years.
Right. So, I'm guessing it's not Amanda.
No, it's not Amanda. That's your one guess for the episode. Carly Amanda is not it. If you're keeping tally at home on Aaron's bad guesses.
That's such a good name, Carly Amanda Wallace.
No, that's not it.
If I choose a really deadly one, actually, maybe I should change my name to that one.
I mean, I could do that. I am also named after my grandmother, so I don't know if I
can't do it.
Maybe I could if you want to hurt my whole family, but that's fine. You should.
No.
Man.
I won't do that. Sorry.
No.
Sorry, Grandma.
Yeah, she's passed away now to make it even worse for you, Aaron.
Yeah.
So you want me to change my middle name? Yeah.
Hey, look, it's just an idea. That's what we do on this podcast. We just throw things out there and reel them back in when they're not working.
Just create accidental segments. Ridiculous. But yeah, we were off for a week. I was actually in Sydney. I had a week off. I went and seen Kendrick Lamar. That was amazing, I have to just say.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was jealous. Not going to lie, I was very jealous.
Well, I was having the time of my life, but I also realized I'm way too old for the floor tickets. Like I never wanted, okay, let me just state, I never wanted the floor tickets, but the two friends I was going with, they wanted floor tickets. So I'm like, I can't sit in the stands on my own.
No, I'm too old to sit down. My knees get too stuck. I have to stand up.
See, that's the thing. But I was cramping up. My foot was cramping on the right, and this is when Schoolboy Q was on. This was at the start. This wasn't Kendrick wasn't even on. So had a knee brace on the left. I got some meniscus going on, some meniscus tearing.
Just deep heat. That's what I do.
No,
deep heat.
Shout out to Noella, my sister girl who had to on FaceTime the other week assess my busted up knee that was very swollen. She's an exercise physiologist, so she's like, that's swollen. I said, really? I just thought it was fat. Apparently not.
Goodness.
Meniscus issue. So, bro, it was awesome, but I was probably more jealous of everyone going to Lady Gaga. I missed out on that.
Oh, yeah, Gaga. So my nieces, same age as me on wifey's side. They went to both.
Oh, what?
I was like,
spoiled.
That is amazing. They're living the child-free life like you, just throwing money whenever they want to throw money around. But
that's just what we do.
Back to the concert thing. We because my legs are so long, no seats are good for me to sit in because I'm always kneeing somebody in the back or, people try and get past me. So I just want to stand up. I don't mind sitting on the ground if I get tired, but I can't sit in them seats.
Those seats are so uncomfortable too. They're not a good time and everyone's squished. And then if someone stands in front of you, then people get angry. Just there was actually no animosity on the ground. It was actually no pushing, no people all up in your grill. I thought more people were going to step on my Jordans. I was ready for fighting.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't happen. Did not happen. I saw Barker in the audience. Well, Barker saw me in the audience. Shout out Sister Barker. Right on time when They Not Like Us came on. So all the black people were just, shout out Cody. He was there. It was mad. There was black followers and, of course, had to find me in the crowd of thousands. But I really loved it. He was pretty amazing. And then I saw Oprah this week as well, in the past week.
You're just looking at all the black American royalty this week.
Well, I want to tell probably next week, I'd say, is a yarn that I want to say for the podcast, which I promised everyone on my Instagram story that I would actually yarn about how Oprah changed my life. And why I went to see Oprah. So I want to save that yarn because it is actually a personal yarn, but I'll save that for next week because and you went to New Zealand. That was pretty amazing with the fams. You had a good break.
Yeah, let's talk about that next week too.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I think this week we've come back, me from Sydney, you from New Zealand, and yesterday, as we know in the world, here in Australia in Bondi, mass shooting, which is just, man, there's just no words. There really isn't.
It was really interesting because last night was our last night in New Zealand. You know, we knew we had to go to bed early because we had to get up at 3 a.m. And then Mel just saw that news, and then I was like, oh, okay. So then, I spent the next hour or two, on Twitter, on whatever, having a look and see what was going on, and it was just crazy to think about. Like we're in another country, and we're flying back into a place that's been really affected, I think, by what happened. It was our first major one in a long time. There has been obviously mass shootings, but that many people to die has been a long time since that's happened. So,
and obviously goes without saying that we think about everybody and thoughts going out to everyone who has died and been affected. Literally hundreds of people, up to 1,000 plus, have witnessed it, and whoever else is affected in their lives, and obviously the Jewish community who it was targeted at. It's an act. It's just a disgusting act. These two individuals who have now targeted a community, made them feel unsafe, and then on top of it have made their own community feel unsafe. And all Australians, I feel super uneasy, and I live in Queensland. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's this type of stuff, like terrorism. That's what it is. It is actual terrorism that makes people question their safety, their lives, what they should be doing, where they can go, what they should believe in. It's disgusting that people can do that. Obviously, one of the guys was shot by police, and the other one is apprehended, and looks like he's going to survive. The footage is crazy. I'm sure everyone's seen it. We don't need to go over it in detail. I will say it is very triggering. I know.
Yes.
I like just watching it and the news cycle, and because we live now in this age of social media, like there are so many camera views, so much footage. It's just never ending. It's just there all the time. So I know I had to last night, I had to really force myself to turn off the TV and just go to bed because I was just fixated on it. I think like a lot of people, it was just hard to believe, like hard to watch.
I think that collective shock, like you said, hits harder because it's at home. It's at a place that's an iconic spot that a lot of Australians and tourists have been to or heard of, at least if they haven't been there, because it's one of the most famous ones for Australians, at least, and also in the manner that happened. So it's such a horrific way for people to have that memory now connected to a spot that initially would have had some There has obviously been other incidents there that have made it a bit ugly, but this is obviously the worst one that we've seen. And I think for me, when I think about why it was so shocking, is one, I didn't think this would happen in Australia. We know that in America, or in the USA, for example, this happens on a regular basis, and we know that there have been incidents with mass shootings and stuff in Australia, and the worst shooting by an Australian before this was old mate in New Zealand, but.
And also Port Arthur is the worst one in Australia.
Yeah. So on Australian soil down there in Tassie. But I think that's probably what is the most shocking for me, was of all the things that you would think would happen in the terrorism space for Australians, this is not one of those things. We don't we have pretty strict gun laws, and they're probably going to get stricter after this. But yeah.
They are overhauling as of even today, like 24 hours after this incident, some of the gun laws that one of the gunmen had guns that were legal in his name. Yeah. And I just don't understand how, if you're not living on a river with crocodiles, why on earth does anybody need a gun in this country? Yeah. I just can't fathom it. And so I think, we will see that. And that's been one of the things, right, for Australia is like we've always felt safe because we've had such tough laws. It is one of the probably the better things that John Howard did when he was Prime Minister, that I think all Australians can unite over and agree that was a really good call when when Port Arthur massacre happened, that all those gun laws were overhauled and Australia became really safe, So to see that yesterday, this week is also the Sydney siege anniversary. Down in Sydney, that happened, has to be close to 10 years now. It has to be. Apologies if I've got that wrong.
And the Sandy Hook school shooting.
Yeah, it's a
pretty horrific week.
A week and a bit before Christmas, school holidays, Hanukkah, obviously, it's just horrendous. And I haven't felt like the world is this uneasy. I'm just speaking as me. I'm just an individual. I'm nobody special. As just an individual in the world since probably 9/11. Since 9/11, and I don't know, this is something that is obviously so shocking, but it isn't the first time we've seen terrorism. We in our generation have really grown up seeing these acts of terrorism, and mass shootings. And I remember being in I think I was probably year 10 to 12 around that time when the Columbine massacre happened, the shootings. So I was still in school. So for anyone that doesn't know that, there were, obviously two kids that really kicked off that, mass shootings in schools, if you could say that. The biggest one at the time was Columbine, and how targeted it was, how planned it was, and how many copycats have happened since. And that's just kind of become the norm now. But I remember that when I was in those pivotal years of high school, going, holy moly, is this going to happen? And then not long after 9/11 happened, I think maybe the year or so after or before, and it was just something that it just all of a sudden became like it could happen to you. And it wasn't just America. If that could happen to America, it could happen. If that could happen at that school, it could happen here. And now with Bondi, this recent attack, just seeing how easy it happened. It's just so easy that someone, it doesn't, regardless of their race, ethnicity, their gender, whatever, they were able to get guns. And they were able to just go down to somewhere, like you said, that is such a, I remember living in Sydney, moving to Sydney. In my first 2 days, I went to Bondi Beach. It was the thing. It was I want to see Bondi. It's so iconic for Australia. Oprah was there last week walking along Bondi, showing the world Bondi. It is that place. It's so iconic to Australia that we go to the beach. It is such a big part of Australian culture, as cheesy as it can be, and as sometimes we mock it is that Australia culture? But it is a part of the lifestyle in Australia of just being able to go to the beach with your family. You're down the beach every other day, brother, with your kids.
When we can.
Yeah. Such an iconic beach for it to just be marred like that by two individuals who are completely selfish. They don't care about anybody in that moment but themselves. And it doesn't matter how much information is out there at that moment, those two people cared about themselves. And they took so many innocent lives, and it's just, horrendous.
And I think that I want to talk to the information part of this. Probably I'm not going to speak to the incident. Obviously, that's horrific, and more will come out to that as we learn more. But for me, what I found probably the most disappointing was the reaction from people on social media and how they quickly jump to, and it's social media. So they're going, everybody wants to do the hot take. Everybody wants to, whatever. but the hot takes were all that I saw mostly white men, all xenophobic, all anti-immigration, all blah blah blah. And I think when we talk about this complex situation that is, the Israeli-Palestine situation and how that looks around the world, I think people put such a basic lens on this stuff, and they don't want to have to actually think about the trauma that's involved for everybody in this space. And so, what was most disappointing for me was seeing, grown men just talking about, Pauline was right, and this is all Albo's fault. The government has blood on their hands, like putting the actions of these two people on and a federal government when we have no idea when these people became citizens. We have no idea how they got to the country or anything like that. Like, we have no more now, but this is, a direct reaction of that. And you had politicians like, the redhead clown who just come out and just put a statement out without any information, had no information on what she talked about, just all about anti-immigration, xenophobic BS. And that's what I found disgusting. It wasn't, not that we people were pretending to stand in solidarity, but the reason they use that as an excuse to be xenophobic and to be, whatever that looks like for them. So that's probably my biggest take from that is, people just trying to give the hot take and just not even waiting a millisecond for a fact to just jump straight to, oh, it's this and this and this. And then meanwhile, the biggest hero of the day was the very group that they're blasting. You know what I mean? Like the lad that everybody's like, he's the Australian of the year, is also part of the people they're discriminating against with these posts. So, there's just no sense for me about why, as people, and I get that it's shocking, and I get that people, and want to express emotions, and it's their social media, but I just don't understand how we went from, what could have been a unifying, like you saw this and what happened in New Zealand, how people came together about that. Whereas we've gone, judging by social media, we've gone the opposite way.
And that's the difference, right? And nobody, absolutely no one, especially us, are defending those shooters in Bondi. Absolutely nobody.
Definitely not.
I think the difference when we see, shooter in New Zealand being a white male versus brown people, the quickness of, like you were saying, that racism, that xenophobia, it is so quick. You know what I mean? That from the far right groups. In my disappointment yesterday were these two shooters were just, like I said, completely selfish. They put their community at so much risk, which is 99% of Muslim people from that background are so peace-loving people. Not all. There's obviously bad in every single community in race and religion in this world. And no one's perfect, but, what they did was just horrendous. But straight away my thought went to obviously the people who were killed and affected, but also then these far-right groups, these conservatives, they're going to use this as another excuse to be anti-immigrant, to be racist, to be all of those things. And this country is so diverse now. Like, that is our reality. That is our reality. No one's going home. Do you know what I mean? If we want to start deporting people, and that's the argument, right? People go, we need to start deporting. And I've even heard blackfellas say this. I've even said our own community start going, we need to deport. We need to do this and that. If we're going to start deporting, everybody better line up. Because that is a really irresponsible and heartless reaction, to acts of terror from individuals. This isn't from the whole community of Muslim people. This is the same as the attacks that happened over on October 7. There's these people in these communities that are extremists that really make it so much bad. Like, I've got Jewish friends and I don't even know what to say to them. And I know they're listening to this podcast, and I just want to say, like, we stand with you. We really do, because imagine being a part of that community as well right now when you don't want to see war in your country or others, and you don't want to see it in this country, and now you feel like people hate you and you and your children can't go to the beach. That's not fair on anybody. And that's not what this country is supposedly about. I've seen people I seen people at a vigil singing Advanced Australia Fair. Like, we're not. We're actually not. We need to rethink this because of the actions of and reactions of people. As soon as anything like this happens, we need to deport people. If we're going to deport people, everyone can start lining up. That's not it. That's not the answer.
And it's a great segue to my other point on that is the other disappointing thing for me when I talk about this, I've done a post recently that all these men in particular, and I'm going to call it men because you're the biggest perpetrators of this bullshit. You're so vocal about want to protect Australia, want to protect people, want to protect women, all this crap. But you didn't say anything when these Nazis were coming and bashing Aboriginal people in Nam. Like you said, zero things about these Nazis trying to reclaim white Australia. Half of them were immigrants. You know, one of them was probably a Corey, but there was nothing said about any of that sort of stuff. So we don't talk about the bad immigrants. They said zero people when it was a white person that was the bad immigrant. When he was a Kiwi, Palangi, whatever he was, come over here and lead a Nazi party. I saw zero of these men say anything about protecting Australians from the Nazis, from these white people. But it's, and this is a horrific thing that's happened, but you can't pick and choose who the good and the bad ones are. They're either the bad ones get deported or we try to work out what that is. So we can't just, that's what really gets up my goat is when we're talking about this happening to blackfellas. Nobody cared. Nobody gave a beep about it. But then, all of a sudden now, like, oh, we need to elbows ruining immigration. He's not letting in, he's letting in too many people. Like, you didn't say anything about these white fellas. One of them got deported. Not one of you said good. There were people defending them, saying, "Oh, we'll do a GoFundMe to pay for this white person who clearly racist and acting like they're a victim." Like, that's what pisses me off the most when I speak about this is because there's these two clearly different standards of the good and the bad immigrants that we want to talk to. We never think about what that actually looks like and how that feels for other people.
And terrorism is terrorism. It doesn't it doesn't matter if it's coming from white, black, brindle, whoever. When you're causing violence and death and destruction and terror in people, which far-right movements do, all sorts of groups that are extremists do, when you're doing that, there is no picking sides. Like we're humans. We are human beings at the end of the day, and this behaviour needs to be condemned regardless. And jumping on we need to condemn this group or condemn that group, man, the hate in the world right now and the division is so heavy. Like one of the takeaways that I had from this was just like, I know I talk about being child free and I joke about it, but there's reasons why I go, I'm really grateful I don't have children because I don't know how parents can explain this type of stuff to their kids and feel like their kids will be safe in this world because I'd struggle with it. I really would.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's been a really big thing. It's a completely different moment that was going, as we always do with our ADHD. But like young women in particular talking about, why aren't young women having children? Like cost of living crisis, and also like, have you seen the world today?
Have you seen the world today? This is a real thing.
Do you feel safe to have kids and bring up kids in this space? And for me, I think about what that looks like for my kids growing up, and that's why we're constantly having discussions about this sort of stuff because I don't want them to be growing up in a place of fear, but they also need to know what the reality of the world is out there for them, whether it's racism, whether it's xenophobia, whether it's identity, whether it's politics. Like they need to have a bit of critical thinking around themselves because we know that social media algorithms are just getting worse and worse. And we talked about the social media ban last week for kids, but it does have absolutely nothing to slow down the hate that we're seeing when we know that Facebook is just trying to make us angry or mad, angry, mad, or sad. Like that's the three things it's trying to do. It doesn't, it's not trying to make you feel happy. It doesn't want to show you the 3,000 great things that happened in the world today. It wants to show you the mass shooting, and it wants to show you the racism that comes with that. So, I think there's a larger piece of work here for the government to do, not just on guns, but we need to look at what the social media algorithm is doing to people and how that's making people feel, and understand that until we hold those billionaires to account, then they're the ones that are going to be guiding how we feel. If we're not seeing flowers and babies and, I mean, that's not good for you, flowers and dogs for you and, babies and
I'll
whatever else
take some
for
babies
me.
and flowers right now, to be honest with you, over the algorithm. And I just want to say, like, anti-Semitism is real, and it is a scourge, and it is in this country, and it's in every single country, and it needs to be stamped out, because those same people don't just hate Jewish people. They hate black and brown people. They hate gay people. They hate, hate is the main cause here. But the Holocaust was absolutely disgusting act of humanity, and it should never, ever, 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 ever happen again to Jewish people or to anybody in this world. And, Australia has let this far-right extremism really build and build and build. And that is all types of far right. I don't care if it comes from some other culture. If you're hating on another race of people or, Jewish people, any other community of people enough to go and commit acts of terrorism, that is it is a serious flaw in our country in some sort of way. And I'm sure with this shooting, we're going to see lots of failures in lots of systems, whether it be in immigration, whether it be in, anything else. There's going to be gun laws that are going to be looked at. There's going to be anti-terrorism, ASIO and the rest will be looked at. There will be serious gaps. And what happens every time something like this happens is our life changes a little bit more. Our norm in society changes a little bit more. I don't think after 9/11 anyone ever flew the same again. Like when we think about things, when I'm in public spaces, even when I was in Sydney last week, to be honest with you, I felt very uneasy at the public transport, the amount of people, and just thinking thoughts of if something happened, what could, we never used to think like that. We never had those thoughts 20 years ago. In our lives, terrorism has changed us, and that is what it aims to do. And unfortunately, it does succeed in lots of ways. But this here, I think if there's any positives in this recent Bondi shooting is that the amount of acts of kindness you've seen, the fella that you were talking about earlier that tackled the gunman, what an absolute legend, bro. I've seen there's a GoFundMe for him that's raised literally hundreds of thousands of dollars for this fella. He's recovering. Like the actual bravery that's come out of, there's lifeguards that ran towards that, policemen and women. Like
there's lifeguards that saved, I think he was a Chinese tourist and he was frozen because of obviously the trauma of where his background is. So he was frozen in the water.
Oh my goodness!
And old mate had to go save him because he was realized old mate's just frozen and just there's what is it? Fight
or flight,
flight or freeze. And he's just froze.
He just froze.
Yeah, and
you couldn't even imagine that. I can't even imagine what those people saw and heard, and children, and and then you've literally got to go and save their life as a lifeguard. Like he's out in the water, even though this is going on, you don't know what's happening. Like those acts of bravery from everyday Australians, and I think that's what happens, right? That's the strength in being Australian sometimes, like that mateship. Yes. It can, when it works, man, it proper works, and I think that's where we all find our pride together as a nation. As we come together, we can unify and actually, help each other. And even if that's just a call, even that's checking on somebody. Like I checked on a few mates yesterday that live in Bondi. Thank goodness. One of them was actually down the beach and he said, I left early, luckily. Wow. And it's like, those are your friends. And I think even I work with somebody she lives in Bondi right now. She had helicopters flying over a house today. And it's like, that is unreal. And the Australian spirit, okay, if we're going to talk about that, it's not hate. It's at the core of who we are as human beings. We're not hateful. Yeah. We can't be. We haven't been surviving on this earth for so long with just hate. Like it's just not who we are ingrained to be as human beings. So, I'm really hoping there is some sort of uniting going to happen from this and not division, because division is what got us to this point here, and it needs to be stamped out.
And I think that's largely going to come from leadership, right? So Albo's doing what he's trying to do right now, but and we've already seen some really bad examples from your mate Bob and Pauline. But, there has to be some sort of political cohesion on this, because that's where the biggest divide is right now, is, whatever the left or right is, wherever you stand on, the situation happening overseas largely seems to be political, which is interesting. But what happened in New Zealand, and the reason why people came together, was because both sides were like, okay, like we need to come together on this. Like, this is happening to us as a people. This is not happening just to the Jewish people. Like, this is happening to us as Australians. And like we're stronger together. So I think for me, I'd really like to see some political cohesion on this to make sure that it's not just going to be turned into a football where we blame Muslims, or we blame immigration, or we blame whatever. Like, yes, we need to have a think about, what we're doing as a country for guns. Yes, we have to need to think about to see how we're screening people coming through, but none of that should be then turn into stereotyping and discrimination because we're taking the easy way out. And that's my biggest hope. And I hope that happens. I have faith in a few politicians to get that done. But also I think, that's something for us to think about as people as well. Like this, I know I have a few Muslim friends at work, and people who are involved in that space, and it's going to be, I'm back at work tomorrow for the first time in a little while, so I'll be interested to see how everybody's handling that. But just supporting them, and and being a support for them as well in this space, because while the Jewish community is reeling from this, and we show our support for them as well in that space, it must be hard when your whole religion is now being targeted as terrorists again. And it's been a while since. Old Pauline had that thing on her head, but it's been a while since we actually saw that sort of anti-Muslim Islamophobia sort of rear its ugly head, and I'm scared that's what's going to happen again. So,
And what we saw in Parliament the other week, that does not help.
No,
that does not help when you have politicians who are spruiking that type of propaganda to create hysteria. It is not helping anybody. And every time we see every time we see a scourge of extremism, it's always to do with racism and this fear mongering and this hate, and it's disgusting. Like, I don't know how people sleep at night. And it might be a little ha-ha for the media or for social media, but this is the effects of this type of stuff. This is the real life effects of xenophobia, of racism, discrimination. It can't, anti-Semitism, it cannot happen. It can't, to anybody. So, like you said, when it happens to one of us, it's happening to all of us, because we all live here. We all live here. We all want to be safe. All kids and adults and everyone deserve to just go about their day being unharmed. Being safe.
Going home.
So, look, brother, I think it's really made me reflect on the last 20 years, of 9/11, the Sydney siege. And it's one of those things now where it's going to be in our brains. Where were you? Where Bondi happened? It's so unfortunate. And, we just want to leave it at that for this episode, because it is obviously, it is very serious, and no doubt we'll have more things coming out this week in the next few months about this event. But if you're listening and it's triggering, it's okay to also switch off. It's okay to just take a break from it, because it can be very heavy. And just, surround yourself with people that you love, and thinking of everybody at this time.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is that self-care aspect, especially if you're neurodiverse and you're hyper-focus, this is not a great thing to hyper-focus on. Make sure you have some sort of outlet that is away from a screen, because nothing's good is going to be on your phone or on your laptop or on your TV. So be informed, but let's make sure we're watching some comedy or something as well, because that's an easy outlet to get away from something like that.
And you know what? I just want to say one more thing, that when things like this happen, it makes you not want to do anything. Makes you not want to go anywhere. It makes you very like, I can't let my kids go there. Can't let this. I can't go and enjoy life. And that's what terrorism aims to do. It aims to disrupt happiness, the normalcy of life. Do not let it do that. Go and enjoy your life. Love the people around you. Don't take life for granted. Just go and be normal, because that is the best revenge on how we beat terrorism, anti-Semitism, and all those things we talked about. Thanks, brother, for the yarn.
No, thank you.
We'll see you guys next week. We'll put the helplines as well if anyone wants to, if you need any support, we'll put that in the show notes. But otherwise, we'll catch you mob next week.
All right. Yeah, well.